It's the day Windows Vista users have been excited about ever since the launch of Windows Vista. That's right, the next version of Windows comes out today, Windows 7. Now we've been using this off and on through different betas and release candidates for probably about a year, so it's not really a surprise, and no tech journalists anyway, was exactly pining to try it out since most people have had a chance to have their hands on with it. But the official copies start shipping to the general public today, and it's on regular computers, etc., etc. So what's going on with Windows 7? What should we look for that's exciting? And more to the point, what are some of the sore points? We bring in a couple of technology journalists. First, Sam Axon from Obsessable. Samuel, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Also, we bring in Kevin Tofel from JKOnTheRun. Kevin, thanks for being with us as well.
Always good to be here.
So before the show, we were talking, and both of you guys have had a chance to use Windows 7 extensively. One of the big problems with Vista, at least in my opinion, people sort of said that Vista was a good version of Windows, and it turned out that there was a lot of annoying things. It just was generally slow, and as time went on, people got sort of upset with it. Now, Sam, how long have you been using Windows 7, and sort of what's been your impression with it thus far?
I've been using Windows 7 since about March when I first joined the beta, and I'm dual booting it on my MacBook Pro with OS 10, and I'm also running it on my home theater PC. So I've spent a lot of time with it. And I think the biggest improvement, I agree, it's not this huge leap forward in every way, but the biggest improvement is that it retains a lot of the cool features of Vista, but it doesn't have that insane memory usage. It's actually somewhat efficient. So that right there is worth it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So it runs a little bit smoother. Now, one of the big problems I had, Kevin, with Vista was, you run a program, and it's like, do you want to run this program? And you're like, yes, I just double-clicked it. Thanks for popping up something that tells me I want to run this program. Have they kind of cleaned up that, I can't remember the name of it. Have they cleaned
UAC.
up that? Yeah, UAC. I was like, UA something. Have they cleaned that up a little bit? Is it a little bit better now?
It is, Randall. User access control is much better. It's less naggy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You can configure it much easier. Microsoft has decided to finally listen to what people want, and some people who want that kind of double check can still have that, but you can actually not be nagged all the time, which is much better. I actually tend to agree with Sam as well. I kind of equate this whole Windows 7 thing to be kind of like almost the speed of XP, but the features and UI of Vista, if that makes any sense. I'm running it on, obviously, a MacBook. I'm running it on, dual booting it on a netbook right now. It runs really good on netbook hardware, which is kind of not very powerful equipment to have. And that was one of the biggest challenges Vista had, and I think Microsoft has done a good job by optimizing code for lower-end machines.
I was talking with some of the folks at Hot Hardware. They're like a tech enthusiast site, and they had mentioned that Windows 7 will take up as much resources as you have available to sort of make it run properly. So in a netbook, you'll see with if you have a gig of RAM or whatever, it tries to take a really small footprint. But if you have 12 gigs of RAM, it's willing to take up 4 gigs of RAM, according to one of those guys. Now, Sam, we kind of have seen, if this is kind of the better evolution of Vista, what's sort of the little things that people maybe should look out for if they're going to go pick up a copy and start using it on their main machine? I mean, is there any neat things that immediately sticks out, or is it more just kind of like this point release of stability and things like that?
Are you saying things that they should look out for,
maybe
bad things or good things?
Specific features. I mean, either good or bad.
Well, I think the biggest change in terms of the user experience besides the speed is the new taskbar, which is kind of a ripoff of the OS 10 dock a little bit, but it's smaller, it uses up less of the screen, and it has quite a few features that the dock doesn't have. I actually like it better than the dock. I can't believe I'm saying this. For the first time I'm saying this, I wish Apple would rip off some features from Microsoft from this new taskbar, because it just makes... it makes running everything a lot easier, and you can kind of preview windows that you don't have right in front of you by moving the mouse down to the taskbar, and it pops up different selections of if you have 3 Firefox windows open, you move it down and it shows you 3 previews of the 3 Firefox windows you have, and you can just click the one you want. It's pretty cool.
Got it. So one of the other things that the Hot Hardware guys had mentioned to me, we just were talking earlier today, they'd mentioned something about the arrow shake feature. Now, Kevin, basically, I don't know if you use this ever. I'm kind of wondering, since you kind of been using Windows 7 for a while, if you use this. But essentially, you can click on something and shake it, and if you shake the window, all the windows behind it will disappear temporarily. If you shake it again, the windows will come back. I mean, hey, that's to me is something cool. But have you found something like that useful?
Well, it is kind of cool, and just to clarify, you're shaking the window. You're not like taking your PC and shaking it or anything.
That's the next version, right? No.
Yeah, it's Arrow Shake. It's a cool feature. I actually like the other Arrow features, like that are similar, like Arrow Peek, where you can go to the taskbar, look at your running programs, and just hover over one of the little thumbnails, and it will do the same thing. It kind of hides everything, so it's kind of the same thing. Also, with Arrow, you can snap a window over to the left side of the screen, and it will take up exactly half of the screen, regardless of resolution. So it's a good way to tile things. You can maximize just by dragging a window all the way to the top of the screen. There's a lot of nice little Arrow features in there. Arrow Shake, maybe not. It's a little shaky, but no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of this to me is like indicative of touchscreen computing, right? Like in the touchscreen world, being able to physically touch and move something to the top or to the side or shake it, to me it has a little bit more utility than with the mouse, because obviously you have to actually move your mouse to the spot instead of being able to just get there immediately. Do you think that's, Kevin, you're heavy into the touchscreen, at least at JKOnTheRun. Do you think that that's something that's going to help sort of move touchscreens forward, or even just touchscreen support in Windows 7 in general?
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because there's additional news that relates specifically to touchscreens. Touchscreen has had a hard adoption rate. It's been slow, mostly because it's been in slate computers, tablets, UMPCs, niche products that I kind of like to play with, but most people don't. This brings touch and even multi-touch to compatible notebooks, netbooks, and regular monitors. So I do think it will speed up the adoption, but to do this, you need good applications to take advantage of it. And the other news today is Amazon has brought out Kindle for PC, and it can take advantage of touch, so you can swipe the pages and just flip them around just like that.
Interesting stuff. So if you do have one of those touchscreen computers, it'll be there for you. Now, guys, we're just about out of time. Windows 7, for regular people, normal, everyday moms and pops, do you think, who aren't necessarily covering this, do you recommend an upgrade to them, Sam?
Well, I would recommend an upgrade to them from XP. I'm not sure I would from Vista, which is kind of an odd thing to say since people hate on Vista so much. But a lot of the reasons people hate on Vista are things that geeks like us kind of find frustrating, like the memory usage. XP, I haven't used it in ages, but as I recall, it had just horrible. It had a horrible interface. It was confusing. Things were put in weird places.
It's old,
and it was
right?
very, very insecure. Right. It's like 10 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
It's also very insecure. We rag on the user account control, but that actually, for people like us, it's annoying. But for people like them who are constantly getting spyware on their computers, I would definitely recommend an average computer user to get at least Vista and preferably Windows 7 over XP. But if you already have Windows Vista, the new features are cool, but unless you're doing something where the hardware usage is a problem, then I wouldn't spend hundreds of dollars on it.
Yeah, just get a new computer with it or something. Kevin, real quick, yes, no, upgrade? What's your thought?
I think certainly there's enough features to warrant it from XP. Even for your average mom and pop, like the home group to share things, it's nice. It's a great feature. I see what Sam is saying about Vista. If you have recent hardware and you got Vista, then maybe it doesn't make sense as long as it's running well for you. Otherwise, I would upgrade.
All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. That's it for the show. I'm Randall Bennett, and we're running out of time, so we're just going to cut it. Sam Axon from Obsessable, Kevin Tofel from JKOnTheRun. You can check out show notes for them at techv.com. Special thanks to our sponsor, GoToMeeting. Check out 30 days for free at gotomeeting.com/techpodcast. See you next time.